President of the United States, who has just been impeached. He's now reacting. Jim Acosta, our chief White House correspondent, is about to tell us what he's saying.
Yeah, Wolf, I would say this is a code red at the president's rally in Michigan right now. He is reacting in real time, I suppose, as only Donald Trump can, to being impeached. And, you know, I say code red because he is red in the face. When you see this video of the president speaking at this rally in Michigan, he is red in the face and going off the rails. At one point, just a few moments ago, accusing Democrats of declaring war on democracy by impeaching him, talking about House Speaker Nancy Pelosi in very personal terms, calling her crazy Nancy, talking about other members of the House like Debbie Dingell. Here's more of what the president had to say just a few moments ago.
You're declaring open war on American democracy. You are the ones interfering in America's elections. You are the ones subverting America's democracy. We did nothing wrong, nothing whatsoever. This was just an excuse. You are the ones obstructing justice. You are the ones bringing pain and suffering to our republic.
Now, the president was also saying how he is going to be unleashing his millions of supporters to somehow vote House Speaker Nancy Pelosi out of office. I don't think that's going to be possible in her San Francisco district, but perhaps he's talking about her majority in Congress, something that Republicans have been talking about for some time. But Wolf and Jake, he just finished going off on Debbie Dingell, one congresswoman who obviously voted with the Democrats in favor of impeachment, and talked about how he provided what he described as being A-plus treatment to her late husband, the late Congressman John Dingell, when he passed away. The president making a remark just a short while ago that somehow John Dingell may be looking up, not down, as all this is taking place in Washington. There are some folks who are watching this rally wondering whether or not the president is talking about John Dingell somehow being in hell right now, watching all of this unfold. And so the president making some very deeply personal, deeply strident remarks at this rally in Michigan right now. And this really lines up with what I heard from a Trump advisor earlier today, that the president is not only, feeling, very unnerved by all of this. This is obviously under his skin, but there are plans in the works inside the White House and obviously inside the president's political team to really use and weaponize impeachment heading into the 2020 campaign. And that appears to be the case when you listen to the president at this rally tonight.
Yeah, it's amazing what's going on. Jake, the president clearly is furious. He's so angry that he is now the third president in American history to be impeached by the House of Representatives.
It's certainly not being cool under pressure. And in his remarks this evening, he said a number of things. He imagined a conversation between Bill and Hillary Clinton. He insulted the looks of Congressman Adam Schiff. He went after James Comey. And then again, just to touch on this, let's remember what happened here. Congressman John Dingell was a long-serving member of the House of Representatives, beloved, from Michigan. He passed away earlier this year. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell, who succeeded him in that seat before he died, obviously, was appreciative to President Trump for providing the funeral as the Trump administration does, as any White House would do. And then take a listen to how President Trump described it just a few minutes ago.
Debbie Dingell, that's a real beauty. So she calls me up like 8 months ago. Her husband was here a long time. But I didn't give him the B treatment. I didn't give him the C or the D. I could have. Nobody would have, I gave the A-plus treatment. Take down the flags. She calls me up. It's the nicest thing that's ever happened. Thank you so much. John would be so thrilled. He's looking down. He'd be so thrilled. Thank you so much, sir. I said, that's okay. Don't worry about it. Maybe he's looking up. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, once again, we saw something like this after the late Senator John McCain died. First of all, the idea that by bestowing honors upon a long-serving member of Congress who has passed away, that's somehow a personal favor by President Trump. And second of all, just the lack of compassion, the lack of basic human decency. Debbie Dingell is still mourning her late husband. He's not even been gone for a year. And the idea that he would suggest, and obviously Jim was being polite earlier, but obviously he's suggesting that maybe John Dingell is in hell. Just an incredibly crass thing. And more importantly, this shows how much this really bothers him, how rattled he is.
This is disgraceful.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just disgraceful. What he is describing is a congresswoman who called him and thanked him after the funeral and flying flags at half-staff. And I believe he was the longest-serving member
More than
of
50
the Congress.
years he was in the House.
This is disgraceful. She called him to say thank you, and now he is saying this vote of hers is some kind of betrayal, some personal betrayal to him because John Dingell got the funeral that he deserved. And by the way, this is a president saying this in the state of Michigan,
right, his
where
state.
John Dingell was beloved. And it's just, you know, and then going after Nancy Pelosi. I mean, I can't think of another word other than disgraceful to describe what the president is doing this evening.
But this is the type of conduct. This is the reason Nancy Pelosi is Speaker. This is the reason you had the suburban revolt against President Trump. This is the reason Democrats won by such a big margin in the 2018 midterms. And it is one of the reasons Democrats believe, even though this impeachment is controversial for a number of their members, they believe the president will continue this behavior and maybe even accelerate this behavior because of his raw anger. Now, Debbie Dingell is a partisan. She's a Nancy Pelosi deputy. The president has every right to be upset with her vote. Sure. He's a Republican president. But there's a way to do it, and that's not the way to do it, especially in the case of John Dingell. Any president would have done this for John Dingell. He's the longest-serving member of the House of Representatives. He worked with Democrats and Republicans. And a broader point, he's a member of America's greatest generation. He served in World War II. He's buried at Arlington National Cemetery. You can take issue with Debbie Dingell without doing that.
Yeah, but in some ways, you feel like this is a president who has to keep going lower and lower and lower in many ways to satisfy his base. He goes to these big rallies, people who are adoring and his cheering fans, and they in some ways are immune to some of this. And you saw him there, the crowd sort of not reacting, and then he goes below the belt there, talking about John Dingell being in hell, and then the crowd reacts. This is a president beloved by white evangelicals. They seem to give him a pass on everything he does. So I think these coming months, we're going to see more and more of this president acting in this disgraceful way.
And this is just to the point I was making earlier, which is this is a very historic night, a very momentous night, a night of gravity and solemnity. It's also a night that is going to not only leave a stain on President Trump's presidency, but I wonder what it's going to do to his psyche. And we see that happening in real time. And I do wonder, as an American, what does that mean